even if it's not building a portfolio of 49 properties, which some of my clients have, or 9 properties, which other clients have, or 3, but maybe even just your first property where you can actually buy it and maybe turn, a basement unit so that it can help you with the mortgage, or maybe do like right now what we call a garden unit, which is a shed or a garage in the backyard.
Welcome to Real Stories in Real Estate with your host, Denise Laframboise. Real people sharing real stories about their adventures in real estate.
So hi, I'm Denise, and welcome to the Real Stories in Real Estate podcast. Today I have Tahani Aburaneh. Welcome.
Thank you. And yes, you did it. You pronounced my last name correct.
Hey, my last name is Laframboise. It is not easy to say either. I'm so excited to have you on the show because you are so inspirational for women, and it's such an amazing thing what you're doing. And so for people who don't know who you are, do you want to talk a little bit about what the RSIRE Network is?
Yes, of course. I wanted to maybe even go back a little bit further, where I was born in a refugee camp, was married at age 15, and it's not because I wanted to get married, but it was like, my parents' choice. Came to Canada, did whatever I had to do to have, kids, build my family. And then at age 37, I ended up in a divorce with no money and nothing to really fall back on. And I became obsessed with my work. And at the time, I was a realtor at age 30, because I turned 37. At the time, I was a realtor and really stayed almost, I would say, more of like mortgage brokerage, where months you're much busier than others. Didn't know if I can rely on myself. I wasn't really take it seriously, but then I became obsessed with my work, and more so by finding the working with investors niche. I started working with more and more and more investors, and I became the go-to person, especially in the Waterloo region, but more so even all across Canada and in the US, speaking at conferences and sharing my knowledge. And I did very, very well for myself, for my kids. The motivation was more from within. Truly, it was not about making money or being number one realtor, but it was more about I have to make it for my kids. I have to put a roof on my kids' heads and take care of them. That's all I wanted, is just to be able to pay for my rent and my food, and that's it. But then I became obsessed, like I said, and I started.
And how many properties did you accumulate in that time?
So just to give you a little idea of where I was. So when I went through the divorce, I had like no money, no nothing. But then I started working and door knocking and everything that you could think of. I ended up buying a semi at the time, and the semi was it was like 259,000 at the time. And in 4.5 years, I ended up paying off my whole mortgage and having 9 other properties.
So inspiring.
Thank you. For 5 years. And the reason I don't like to brag about, some my portfolio or what I've done, but what I wanted to say to anyone that's listening is that it's not as hard or as difficult if you have someone that can show you the path or the way of how to go from like nothing to where I'm at right now. And I've been really blessed, because the more I wanted to help clients and the more I was willing to find information for my clients, because I didn't know anything, the more I've learned, and the more I've learned, the more I've applied it also on myself, not only helping them, but also helping myself. And that's how, the ball started expanding and rolling and all of that.
So it's incredible. So you like managed to get yourself in an incredibly different spot for your family, for your children, and for your clients as well. And then what inspired you to then start FIRE?
Well, FIRE, I got to a point where it was like, my life has been incredible. It's like pinch me. That's what it has been. And then all of a sudden, I'm blessed with 5 brothers. 2 of my brothers went through massive heart attacks. One of them even was in a coma for months before he woke up again, and he was only like 42 years old. And that's when I start questioning things in my life. Like sometimes when things happen around us, you start questioning, things that like, okay, so now what? Now I've been blessed and God gave me and all of this. Now what? If I die tomorrow, if this would have happened to me, not to my brothers, then where would I have been? And that's where I said, you know what? I want to pass this information to other women, because at the time, most of my clients were men. Like I did even like a thing about my clients. It was 89% of my clients were men. I was getting some women, but not enough. So I said, I would love to share whatever I've got with other women. And I actually went on my Facebook page and I said, if you're a woman out there, or if you're a man that have a woman, a daughter, a wife, a girlfriend, whatever, that you have, and you want her to learn from me, just let me know. And I would be willing to sit with them and share. And I honestly thought I would get maybe 10, 20 women. But when it got to about 50, 56 women, I said, I better book a room. I booked a room where it could house 100 women. I ended up being at the Bisha Hotel downtown Toronto. The morning of the event, I did not do any closings or this is your last call. I didn't know any of that stuff at the time, but we ended up having a lineup of women that wanted to enter and could not. I remember when that date was done and I was driving home because I live in Waterloo region, I cried all during that drive, because I knew that I've not only helped women, but I've touched on something that a woman also needs. Like all these women came because they need, and they were hungry for this information.
Yeah. When you have those moments where you see how many people you actually impact, especially in person, right? Because we live our world on social media and you have no idea how many people are watching you and being inspired by you.
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible event. I'll never forget. And then the following year, we tripled and quadrupled actually the amount of women. So it just kept on growing, and then we got hit by COVID. And I'm definitely thinking about doing another one, most likely by end of next year, because right now what happened is that after those events, it's not like I'm in the marketing world or I have courses or anything. I just did it out of pure wanted to give back and share my knowledge. But then the woman kept saying, Tahani, but how do we learn more? How do we get hold of you? How do we get in touch? And I'm like, okay, I don't have anything else to give them at that time. So right now, that's what I'm working on. And I want to start by creating smaller groups so that I'm actually able to hold hand and or handhold, they say, and help these women with, by the end of us working together, having a property. And I will be launching something very, very soon, maybe end of June into July, for an event that I will be putting on for August, September, and it's going to be a few months, where I would be supporting and sharing and doing it with them, rather than just only giving them a course and just telling them go out on your own and do it. Yeah,
the connection is key, right? I know, we had lunch together one day, and the amount of information I learned from you in that lunch was incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
So any positive takeaways? Obviously we've talked about what an impact you have, and that there's definitely a need for this information, but was there anything else about kind of starting this network that you were like, I had no idea?
Yeah, I feel like the women so much wanted a safe place where they can share, and share because they don't want to share it in front of other men, because they don't want to feel like it's a silly question or something like that. So they wanted a place or a community that they can share information, ask questions, and so I wanted to really empower them to own where they're at right now, and there is nothing wrong with where they're at right now, no matter whether they have $1 or 100 or 1,000, whatever, and then kind of work their way through to get to where they want. The other aha for me is that there's a lot of successful business women that they already have their own businesses, or they're already like amazing mortgage brokers, or entrepreneurs, but they're not investing into their future. And if you think about, the number one strategy that the wealthy use is really real estate investing. And that's where I was like, oh my goodness, all these women, they know what they can, if they're engineers, they already know about that. If they're, even hairdressers or anything, entrepreneurs, but they don't know how to make the money that they work so hard for, how to make that work harder for them. And that was another aha for me.
Yeah, I do notice that about like many women investors that we work with, that it's like, why haven't you done this already? Like, go buy a house now, you're ready. But they're like, well, what about this? And what about this? Like, sometimes it's just giving somebody the encouragement and the positive environment to realize that they can take what they perceive as a risk. It's not typically a risk, in my opinion, but like to buy real estate. But
it's a calculated risk. That's what I always say. Real estate is a calculated risk, and it's one of the safest, ways to invest your money. Like when you think about, I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but when you think about many people who take their money and give it to the bank so that the banker can put it somewhere, so that someone that they don't know, or someone who knows someone that's going to invest for them, to me that is risky, because they're just almost like trusting that their money is going to make them money.
But if the bank is putting it in mortgages and making money on real estate.
Exactly that.
Yeah. And I think the risk factor is big too, right? When I buy a property and there's so many things I can do with it, versus buying a stock, it goes down and you just have to wait for it to go back up or sell at a loss, right? Like especially the business owners too, when you think how hard you work, you have no pension, you have it, like we all need to own properties.
Yes. And for women more so than ever, even after COVID, women had to stay home and take care of their elderly parents. I'm one of them, or, their younger kids, so they have to build their future now and not wait until maybe, something that happens, or until like later, and later never comes, because life always happens. And, so it's more important than ever before. And again, even to the women that are listening right now, and to the men too that have women in their life, even if it's not building a portfolio of 49 properties, which some of my clients have, or 9 properties, which other clients have, or 3, but maybe even just your first property, where you can actually buy it and maybe turn, a basement unit, so that it can help you with the mortgage, or maybe do like right now what we call a garden unit, which is a shed or a garage in the backyard. So there is many other ways that you can start. So it's not just about building a huge portfolio, but also about starting with one property. I call it the one and done. At least do that one. Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any regrets about any of this? Anything that you're like, if I could do it over again, here's what I would have done?
Yeah, I wish I had a woman community that I can speak to and talk to, and go back and forth with some of the ideas and the shares. I wish I've had what I've been building for the other women. That is something that I wish I would have done. And also, we do, like, sometimes I haven't done joint venture. That's another thing too, before, which is something that I wish I would have started much earlier. But I've always was thinking, oh, not yet, not now. I'm worried about other people's money, but there is many other ways that you can protect that while you're building your wealth, while building others' wealth.
And you've accomplished so much. Like, what drives you?
I would say the answer to that is that different things at different stages in my life. Like at the beginning of my life, when I came into Canada, what drove me was that to help support my brothers and my mom and my dad in that refugee camp that I've left them. Like a little bit would have helped, and they were my driving force to do better. And then thereafter, it was my kids. When I went through the divorce, my kids, they're like, I said, I have to, as a mother, Mama Bear, I had to do whatever it takes to support my kids and put a roof on top of their head and, give them what I couldn't have as a young girl. And then now my driving force and my mission is really to empower women to own it. And I'm not just only talking about owning real estate, but really own where they're at in their life and
own your future, right?
Yeah, responsibility to really that they have the power to change their financial future if they can just only surround themselves with other successful women and other women that have done it too, started from nothing and build it there as well. So it's really inspiring a woman to dream bigger and, live freely. That's the ultimate, like I always say, my purpose and my mission, my purpose for the FIRE community is to help women, like I said, dream bigger, live more freely, and ultimately creating the financial independence and security through real estate investing. There's a lot of people that, teach other things, but for me, it's real estate. And my mission is to empower minimum of 10,000 women to own at least one property by 2025. And we are in line with that. So I know that this will happen. And that is a big and very exciting goal that I've set for myself.
Well, and it's something that you're creating that, like, I don't know if people realize how much easier it is to accomplish a goal if you see someone who looks like you having done it, right? And so when you look at, I don't know, hockey, it's very hard to imagine being a female NHL player because there isn't female NHL. And sometimes some of those real estate conventions are the same. You go there and there's not a lot of people who look like you, but to go to a FIRE convention or a group where there's women who are there and in similar circumstances and have done it, the empowerment of that is huge.
From all walks of life. Like we've had women that have, from all walks of life, different nationalities. And the one thing that I love about real estate is that you don't have to speak perfect English in order for you to do well. It's like, everything is just perfect, in my opinion, for me anyways. Yes. And for many others, if you open your mind and your eyes to the opportunities here.
Well, I appreciate you. And as a mom of 3 daughters, I am so happy you're putting this out into the world so that it will be an existing foundation when they're old enough to start participating. I think that's amazing. I
actually want to say something with regards to that is even though I've built in my own way and I've done so well, at whatever level I'm at right now, but my dream, I should say, is that for all these young ladies or young girls like your daughters is for them to be the ones that are sitting and building the high rises that are being built downtown Toronto, because think of all the developers, of all the builders, they're mostly men, and I want it to change that and I want it to be women. But you know what, we got to where we are right now, and I want to take all the information that I have and give it to someone else so that they can do more and more and more. And this is how we can build on this.
I love it. If people want to connect with you further, find out more about FIRE, find out more about the groups coming out, how do they connect with you? Where do they find you?
They can go to tahani.ca and I'm changing some stuff on that website, or they can email me at info@tahani.ca, info@tahani.ca. And Tahani is spelled Tahani. And it's not a tahini, because a lot of people, they think it's the sauce, the tahini sauce. So this is a tahani.
Tahani. Thank you so, so much. I really, really appreciate you being here. This is the Real Stories in Real Estate podcast. I'm Denise Laframboise, and you can find this and other episodes on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and anywhere else you consume your real estate information through podcasts. Thanks so much.